of High Bank Fury, the podcast. I have with me Bob Francis of GoFullThrottle.net and Brian Twining of the BetSperts / Bleacher Nation. Fellas, we talked about Phoenix. We talked about some of the awards in the last show. Check that one out for sure. In this particular show, a little bit on this silly season. What do you see happening? Pretty much all the spots are taken in NASCAR unless somebody gets that 12 or 11:59 firing, which I don't really see.
Well, I
Yeah,
think I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead. You're the
I
guest.
was just gonna say, like, although most of the spots, if not all of the spots, are secure, we still have a lot to be determined based on the whole lawsuit that's going on between NASCAR and 2311. Because determinant on that outcome, we could see 2311 lose their charters, which essentially throws Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace and Riley Herbst back into the fold of other teams looking for guys. And then you have FRM with their trio of drivers still possibly out there if that thing, falls apart for those two teams. And of course, I think the biggest story of this offseason is Corey Heim and what he's going to be doing in 2026. I mean, how do you have a guy who wins double-digit races, wins the Truck Series championship, and he doesn't have a full-time ride for any of the three major NASCAR series?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on, Brian. I was going to say the Corey Heim story just is mind-boggling.
Yes.
And Toyota's already sort of dropped the ball in years past with some drivers like Jones and others who they spent so much time and money developing and bringing up into the Cup Series only to lose them because they didn't have a spot. They did not have a Cup seat open. So I'm surprised that they haven't solved for that yet. I think the other surprise, sort of in the opposite direction, was young Justin Haley, who really cut his way through and performed well at college. Then he moves on and he goes to Weir Racing. And when he was told his contract was not going to be renewed, where do you go? The timing, as such, for Ram to re-enter the sport and make such a huge investment, and to see Justin return to Kaulig racing, where he really developed most of his skill, persona, and got his name on the board. That's super exciting. I had the opportunity to talk to the Ram personnel in the fan zone at Phoenix Raceway this past weekend. They are super excited. They think they really came out on top of this deal, making the investment and getting a Cup driver with a resume like Justin Haley to be, part of this new team that's going to reintroduce Ram into NASCAR. And, there are rumbles and a few comments by Chris Rice and others at Kaulig that the Truck Series was just the door to open for Ram to come back in, and that, that they're going to be back at the Cup Series level at some point, maybe sooner than any of us think. So the Justin Haley piece was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think with Justin Haley, sometimes it's almost like the rubber band effect. It might be better off for you to maybe go down to the Truck Series, where he is going to work with a strong manufacturer who is going to work the way back into the old Xfinity Series. That's going to be coming back, and then maybe back into Cup, because clearly it wasn't working for him in Cup. I think that the team he had was it wasn't the best team probably for him to mix with. And so he might be better off going down to that series. I do think that there are going to be a couple of Cup seats that are going to be very warm next year. I think Alex Bowman better put up. He's got to get somewhere. And then with Legacy Motorsports, they are getting a whole lot better. The top tens were incredible. I gave this stat out for the first almost the first half of last year, that the only top five finish that Legacy Motorsports had through Talladega last year was Jimmy Johnson, who finished fifth in the Daytona 500 when the rest of the field went on a bathroom break the last two laps of the race. And so anyway, but after that, they got their act together, and there's some drivers that are going to change. And next year, Jesse Love looks like a world beater. I've seen him in several races where he disappeared, and other races where he was dominant. I mean, totally dominant. And when you go to Echo Park, Jesse Love, and also, Mr. Hill is going to be in there. But you got Connor Zilish. He is going to be incredible in the circuit. I think if we do this again before the start of the season, I'd almost like to play over and under on wins for certain drivers. And Connor Zilish, for me, he's going to win next year. It's a matter of where. It's going to win one or two. I don't think he's not going to pull a SVG because he's not going to win 5 road course races. But it's going to be interesting as we talked about the silly season on what's going to happen. I do think it was really nice that Rodney Childers, he's going to be back in the I'm going to call it the Xfinity Series till I get used to the new one. And so there's been a lot of nice changes going on there. And so with that, we're going to wrap it. We do want to talk about bet spurts coming up. We also want to talk to you as well, Brian, about your podcast, kind of like what you do on the podcast, some of the things that you talk about, hopefully drive a few people your way. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to do that for you in 30.
Are you ready? Let's go!
In the moments that matter most.
Oh, it's a multi-car accident that took out about 2/3 of the field.
Charlie, hello. Display the red.
You count on reliability.
Give our safety workers plenty of room to work.
For more than 40 years, AMCUS has been a partner of NASCAR, arming first responders with an arsenal of hydraulic and battery-powered rescue tools designed to help them move faster and stay safer.
A nice assist from the AMR safety team.
Trusted by first responders nationwide when it comes to saving lives. That's why AMCUS is the trusted rescue tool of NASCAR.
He has gotten out of his race car on his own 2 feet.
Proven in the toughest moments. Tested on the biggest stages. Proudly made in the USA and powered by decades of innovation. 40 years of trust. 40 years of saving lives. Built for rescue.
AMR safety team, super quick as they always are.
Built for precision.
Really good job in traffic.
Built for victory.
Absolutely dominates this race.
Let's go, fella! Awesome job!
This is Roy J. Akers for the High Bank Fury podcast. We are found multiple times weekly where we talk to NASCAR drivers, cover stories, and those that shape the sport. This is not just another podcast. We get exclusive content, talk fantasy NASCAR racing, and spill the news before other media outlets drop their take. We are on all podcast channels, the YouTube channel, and can be found on skyviewsports.net. Check out High Bank Fury, the podcast, today. What does Bob Francis of www.gofullthrottle.net and also Brian Twining of BetSperts? What is the exact website address to that? Because I see in the bottom of your screen, I know that's not it.
So the website for BetSperts is technically betspurts.com,
Okay.
which has now umbrellaed out into numerous other properties that mainly focus in team sports, with the NFL being the primary cog in our machine. And for me, I'm the only one on our team that does NASCAR oriented content or of anything in this sorts, and mainly on the betting side of things. As we in the name itself, Bet Spurts, most of our content is about sports betting.
I'm going to take this plain card off my forehead. I bet you volunteered to do NASCAR and no one wanted to second you.
Oh yeah, no, I do it full on my own. I pay my way to all the races, everything. I love it so much that I'm fine producing content for work on my own dime.
Well, that's fantastic. Bob and I know a little bit about that. Not much, but just a little bit. And, trying to monetize this whole thing would be fantastic. Now, when you talk about NASCAR and you talk a little bit about fantasy or betting in that, what were some of the trends that you saw in the 2025 season?
Trying to bet race winners was nearly impossible. Didn't really matter who the favorites were, who the mid-pack guys are. As we saw in the championship race, the favorite and the best car doesn't always win in this sport. And I think it got even worse in 2025 with the amount of late race incidents that we saw. So whether it's from a fantasy perspective, trying to get the guy who's going to lead the most laps and have the best finish, to a betting angle where you're trying to pick out the best car, which is usually the best route in winning a bet, those don't always come to fruition and pay out at the end of the day.
Well, Bob, you have a slightly different take on that because he has his own platform using AI, and you had some outstanding results this year.
Yeah, it was a great year. The our prediction model ended the season, at 98.33% outperforming the humans in the league where that bot plays, which is one of the largest of the NASCAR fantasy leagues. There's about 6,000 players, and we finished 95th. So the model outperformed, over 98% of all the humans in there. And that's a 4-year investment, Roy, training the algorithms on what to look for. To your question, and Brian and I have discussed this many times, what data sources are available, whether you're going to place a bet or you're playing NASCAR fantasy, what are the data sources that can be indicators? And the new one for us in 2025 was we're building an algorithm, and I would say it's still in testing mode, but it did help impact some of our results this year. And I think why we hit that 98% mark was pit crew performance. NASCAR made available through their data feed the elapsed time a pit crew takes on a stop. So we now have, and there's a couple of analysts, Bozy, and a few other analysts in our community that are doing very detailed analytics on that data. So we're working on that algorithm to improve it, and because it changes throughout the season. If you're playing NASCAR fantasy versus Brian, where there is a bet on an outcome. In NASCAR fantasy, this changes race to race, and sometimes during the race. There are times when our model is tuned to nothing but get points. So the drivers who have already secured the playoff spot, they may not be going for stage wins or stage points. They may want to pit early to get track position because all they care about is winning the race. So sometimes Brian and I are looking at the same data, but we're looking at it from two different perspectives and achieving two different outcomes. And so that's why I love collaborating with Brian, and I'm a big fan of his platform and the podcast that he and his buddy do, because I learn a lot getting data and input and perspective on those that look at the odds from a betting standpoint versus what the AI is predicting from a pure analytics prediction model for your 5 drivers playing.
And final comments on that, Brian, more on your site that you can brag about that kind of gives you that unique edge that maybe Bob or other people don't know, don't consider, or why should they check you out?
Well, so the site or the content I do, no different than somebody else who's writing content, but I can assure you there aren't many people in the space who don't have their own algorithm, who don't run their own models, who do as much research and dive into data as heavily as I do when it comes to race preparation and the way that I watch practice. I don't think I missed a single practice session this year for Xfinity or Cup. And I'm not monitoring via the lap times that they're showing on NASCAR.com. Like, I'm keeping tabs of lap by lap speeds, taking notes manually still, because I do call myself the oldest almost 40-year-old in the world. So I still like writing instead of typing. But yeah, there's not a lot of people that do it as in depth as I do. And so, yeah, like our podcast, Angle of Pursuit, we do it on YouTube. We have a newsletter, but my buddy Kyle and I, we dive deep into pre-race odds. And then after the qualifying, we dive back into the numbers as well.
All right,
Brian, I love it. I think it's so, NASCAR obviously has invested a lot in their platform, because right in the fantasy game is the opportunity through DraftKings to place a bet. So you're speaking to a part of the audience that is very unique. And NASCAR wouldn't have made that investment of embedding all that in the platform if it wasn't important to them and thus the fans.
Yeah. Yep. I would like to do off air probably before the season starts. I know Bob's real big into the 10 lap averages. I'd like to find out more about that. One of the things I really like about, I don't use algorithms and that. I use my own common sense. I got to 85%. missing about 4 races this year just because I was traveling to golf tournaments. So I mean, and so I didn't get 98 like you got, but in the media, I had 4 race winners. I would have had 5 if we had a 2-tire change over there in Phoenix. So, I mean, so I led it, both myself and Steve Toronto of CBS Sports, and so I'd almost like to see everybody put in $36 next year, and people will be begging to send me the race picks. If you have.
There we go.
I will say I'm 2 for 2 on the season in picking a race winner in your media poll for race picks. In Las Vegas, I picked Denny Hamlin to win the race. And for the championship race, I picked Ryan Blaney to win the race.
Well, there you go. See? And, it seems like if you even put $1 a race in there, some people, I ain't going to bet nothing but some bubble gum. And that's okay. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with playing for funsies as well. We have under a minute to go. One thing we didn't really get to was the angle of pursuit. Can we save that for next time? We can take a deeper dive on that.
Yeah, 100%.
And I will say this because we're going to get cut off any second. The one thing, Bob also talked about is the AI model will tell you when to play a driver and rest a driver. That's something I really don't want to go to J-Ski and tell, well, okay, here we go. And, but I guess if I got you, I'll do it the old fashioned way, like Brian does it, right? Do all that hand research. Brian Twining, Bet Spurts. Bleacher Nation, Bob Francis, GoFullThrottle.net. I'm Roy Jacobs of Skyview Sports. Until next time, thank you, everybody.
My outright pick of the race, I'm going to go with race favorite Chase Elliott at plus 500. Elliott has the top average finish at road courses of 7.1 since 2019. He's actually the only driver in the Cup Series with an average finish better than 10th. He won here back in 2018 and 2019 and then finished runner-up last season. He led 26 or more laps in 2 of the 4